Okay, we are ready.
Okay, I will call this meeting of the Seward City Council to order on October 10th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Would we stand for the pledge? And Mr. Wells, would you lead us, please?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Tonight's roll call: McClure.
Here.
Osenga is excused. Calhoun.
Here.
Wells.
Here.
Casagranda.
Here.
DeMoss.
Here.
Mayor Terry is excused. You have a quorum.
Thank you. We're at the point now of citizen comments on any subject except those items scheduled for public hearing. We have no items scheduled for public hearing. But during this time, the people who've signed in will have the first opportunity to speak, and then others by raising their hands. You'll have 3 minutes. There will be a timer on, and it will buzz when the timer, when your 3 minutes is up, and there's 36 minutes total for this section. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed in?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to speak at this point? Anyone? I won't do that again. Okay. We'll close this portion of the agenda, and we're at the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda, and I need a motion and a second for that.
I make a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any changes to the agenda? Yes.
I would like
Councilmember DeMoss.
to add under 10A, number 1, other new business, I would like to add certify the results of the October 4th, 2022 regular municipal election.
To the consent agenda.
To the consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any objections to that? Okay, any other changes to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, we're ready to vote on the agenda.
Voting on the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda as amended. Casagranda.
Yes.
DeMoss.
Yes.
Calhoun.
Yes.
Wells.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Thank you. Your agenda and consent agenda are approved. And approved on tonight's consent agenda, Resolution 2022-105, accepting and appropriating the Public Library Assistance Grant from the Alaska State Library in the amount of $7,000. Resolution 2022-106, authorizing the City Manager to approve R&M Engineering Task Order 2734.25.02 for engineering services to continue work on the Public Works Shop project and appropriating funds. You have approved the September 26, 2022 City Council special meeting minutes, the September 26, 2022 City Council regular meeting minutes, the September 28, 2022 City Council special meeting minutes, and you have also approved the certification of the results of the October 4th, 2022 regular municipal election.
Thank you. We have one proclamation, and I'm going to do the thing. I'll go outside and around because there's no room to get around. See you in a moment. This is an interesting thing, but there truly isn't any room to get through there. I was just asking, why does this happen? Okay, so we have a proclamation, and we have the fire chief, Mr. Kreitzer. Whereas fires are a serious safety concern and cause devastating personal injury and property loss throughout Alaska, and whereas in 2021 alone, the state of Alaska experienced 829 residential structure fires, resulting in 19 civilian deaths, 53 civilian injuries, 24 firefighter injuries, and over $47 million in property loss, and there have already been at least 10 deaths in the first half of 2022 due to fires. And whereas the Governor of Alaska has proclaimed October 2022 as Fire Prevention Month, and whereas the City of Seward has experienced low fire deaths, injuries, and property loss due to the diligence of our community, volunteer code compliance, and the dedication and commitment of our Seward volunteer firefighters. And whereas the City Council urges the citizens of our community to participate in fire safety and prevention every day. And whereas the fire department encourages all residents to check their smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors for the date of manufacture to ensure they are less than 10 years old and to confirm proper operation. And whereas the fire department additionally encourages all residents to have a properly functioning fire extinguisher and a practiced home fire escape plan. And whereas the 2022 NFPA fire prevention message is, "Fire won't wait, plan your escape." Now, therefore, standing in for Mayor Christy Terry, Mayor Christy Terry does hereby join with Governor Dunleavy in proclaiming October 2022 as Fire Prevention Month and encourage all citizens in our community to protect themselves from the dangers of fire through fire education and safe practices. Dated this date, 10th day of October 2022, and signed Christy Terry, Mayor. And I'll give this to you, Chief Price.
Sure.
And you have a few words about fire safety and
Yep.
stuff.
So most everything was wrapped up in this. We tried to get real quick.
It's very thorough.
We had a great time today. We're at the elementary school and got the kindergarten, first and second graders. So they've got some homework to do to go home and get with their parents. But yeah, like this said, please check your smoke detectors. You should have one outside in the hallway and one inside every bedroom. Make sure they're no older than 10 years old, preferably interconnected to the rest of the house. Carbon monoxide detectors, really you need to replace those about every 5 years, and one on each level of your home if you have a fuel-fired appliance. Fire extinguishers, they clump up over a couple of years. Take that fire extinguisher that's been under your kitchen sink for 10 years, turn it upside down. If it goes clunk, it's not going to work. It's time to throw those away and get a new one. So anytime you have any questions, please call us at the fire department. We also have a home safety checklist that will be in the next city manager's packet. I didn't get it printed in time, but feel free to call us if you'd like for us to come and just do a voluntary kind of walkthrough and show you. Sometimes you don't see the obvious things in your own home that could be a fire hazard. So, yeah.
Thank you, and I know they do that. They help with a lot of things, even if you can't figure out how to make your fire smoke detectors work, they'll come by and, you know.
We can install them. If you know of somebody who needs
Yeah.
one, we have them, we can provide them and install them.
So that's really important information. Thank you very much.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll get used to this. Okay, now we're up to the city manager's report, which can be found beginning on page 4 of the packet, so if you've got your packet. City Manager Bauer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One item that I wanted to, it's in the report, but then expand on for this meeting is that I did have the meeting with the Department of Corrections, and the staff person assigned to jails is newer to jails. In fact, she's a probations officer, and was a very nice person, but pretty much said that there wasn't anything that she could do, that the state needed a task force to address the issue of the jails and the lack of funding and the contract itself. She stated she couldn't form the task force, but would push that up to the Commissioner, Department of Corrections. So she did keep asking what it would take if I were to sign the contract, and I said at this time I still wasn't going to sign the contract. I wanted to make sure the task force was being formed so that we could discuss the contract, because the contract is formed, and you know we've talked about this before, but formed based on man hours, not really what the jail function is. The jail has to be staffed 24 hours a day, no matter how many detainees are in the jail. So it does not match. She said that she has heard that repeatedly. We all have the same contract. Repeatedly, and that she recognized it needed to change, but she was unable to do so. So the conversation continues. Nils at AML is bringing together all of the municipalities. The staff member said that she would love to attend our meeting, And so he's trying to get a meeting together so that we can all talk. But for now, the contract goes unsigned. I did include information about the ICMA conference that I went to and some takeaways that I had from the conference. I kept it short. I could have gone on because I have like pages of notes. Just lots of great takeaways from that conference. So I really did enjoy it, and I kind of summarized my major takeaways in my report. I don't have anything further unless there's any questions.
Okay, are there any questions for the city manager? No? I have just a couple. I had asked you about, because people have been asking about the status of the animal shelter build, and could you just for the public say where we're at on that? Approximately.
Okay.
Either of you, yeah, tag team here.
So we're in the final stages of the project. Dawson Construction is currently working on what they call the punch list. So just as an example, there was an issue with the routing of the dryer vent and that sort of thing. So they're just wrapping up those final touches. And then Chief Nichols has been working on finding some cabinets and working on furniture, that sort of things. We don't have a date yet for a grand opening, but once the building is finalized, then we'll be working on a ribbon cutting ceremony and that sort of thing. So.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I've been getting calls about that. And have you ordered Christmas lights yet?
Yes, the ordering has begun. So, and some of the items will be here next week. Some of the others were like, oh, please come, please come. So yes, the ordering has become. And I did just think of an item, if I may.
Okay, sure.
I emailed you, and on the dais is a copy of the 23-24 budget document that we'll be working through for the upcoming department special meetings. I've also provided electronic copy and paper to the clerk so that she has it as well for the public.
Thank you. And you might note, public, that we're starting on the 17th with our first budget presentation from various departments, and that's all posted online. It's in the city calendar too, I think. So these things will be on YouTube, you know, it's not like you have to sit there through it, but you can watch, and I think it's very important to be aware of what's going on with our budget. Any other questions for the city manager? That was awfully brief, are you sure? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And now we have a city attorney report. If you want to tell us about, we don't have Brooks today, but we've got Sam.
Yeah, you don't have Brooks today, you have me. I think last year I came down at this time and it was snowy and raining on the way home, so this might be an annual long night of driving for me, but I'm glad to be here. You know, I lament this every time I do this, but these are just by their nature short and abbreviated. A lot of them are in progress and just not kind of much to be talking about in too much detail publicly, so I always try to pick one that to elaborate on a little bit. And after hearing the fire chief talk, I think I picked the one that was different than what I initially envisioned, but and I was not aware of the context, so that's a good, that was good learning for me. But the one on here, if you go under planning, it talks about advised on abatement of an encroachment in the city right away. And I don't need to get into the details of that, but one of the things that I do a fair amount of is code enforcement, and have been this year. Worked on a fire code issue earlier in the year, and that's what the fire chief made me think of it, especially talking about prevention. I worked for the city of Anchorage for about 10 years before I came to this firm, and did a lot of code enforcement there. It's something that I enjoy and think can make quite a difference, and it's usually a long series of encouragement, you know, for building codes, fire codes, what your front yard should look like type codes, all those kind of things. You know, it's a series of encouragement and negotiation, and then sometimes having to take action of some kind, whether that's, there's a lot of different tools, ways to look at it. That's something I enjoy and have been doing a bit of here and there for Seward. So that's, yeah, it's one thing to have those codes, but a lot of times people don't dust them off or have the need to, and so we've been doing a little bit of that very selectively, and that's something I've been involved in. So along those lines, I wasn't here for this meeting, but I noticed the council just passed a minor offense uniform or a table and code, and I'll be working on, there's some work on the back end to get that through the court system, and I just kind of started drafting it up. It's a little longer when they're that comprehensive, but I'm used to working through the court system on those, so I'll be doing that. And it's incredibly helpful with that effort on various code enforcement, because there's actually it's a uniform method of doing it, that it's not just, well, we've got this code, what now? So that's a very positive development. I'm glad the city passed that. So I'll be working on implementing that as well. That's it. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, are there any questions for the attorney? That was really informational, and thank you very much. We're always happy to have you here, and I always tell people it's always sunny and beautiful in Seward, so this is just an illusion what's happening right now. It's all fake, really. There is no snow, there is no rain. Thank you. So we're down, we have no other reports or announcements, down to presentations, and the first presentation tonight is from the Seward Senior Center, and Dana Paperman has a presentation. Do you have a...
No.
Okay, so this appears in writing on page 28. Oh, and you'll have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you.
These are for us to take, you said? Yes. Thank you.
I could interject that if you're not getting the email newsletter that you don't need what I that the Senior Center sends out, it's very informative, and if you contact them, they will send it to you on email. Also, this little book is amazing.
Oh, thank you. That's why they're sharing with your friends.
Can I have one of those, please?
Dana,
Sorry.
did you want your presentation or your
One of those.
presentation on the screen? Your report?
No, because my reading is different.
I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, thank you.
Thought I'd share some of our colorful newsletter that goes out once a month to our individuals here in the community, 60 and over. My name is Dana Paperman, and I've served as a director of the Seward Senior Center for the past 21 years, going on 22, just around the corner. I reside here in Seward. I'd like to recognize Christy Terry, who's not here, for her years of service here in the community, in multiple aspects of working across the community, and then stepping in as a mayor and pushing us safely through the pandemic, and which was unbeknownst to all of us on March 1st, 2019. It hit us like a tsunami. So the Senior Center and we both commend her for supporting seniors in our community and all the extra efforts, that had to come forward to protect our older Americans and keep them out of harm's way. So really grateful to her during her time as a leader, and wish her all the best in Anchorage. And as she takes on another big challenge, as she has over the past 20 years, so appropriate for her incredible character and her colorful personality. So how lucky for Anchorage. So, but excited and want to give good luck to our mayor coming in, Sue McClure, really excited for that. She's always shown great willingness and commissions and, serving at the borough before she came here to the city. And she's really helped this place become a great place to live, work, and play, as well as retire in Seward. So congratulations. So, excited. So looking back on the pandemic, the Senior Center was skating on thin ice to support the needs of our vulnerable population here in Seward. Seniors were forced to retreat to their safety of their homes, holding their activities of daily living in a small bubble. And the city came to our rescue, loud and clear, as they provided the necessary CARE Act funds to extend our services from 26 Meals on Wheels to 98 Meals on Wheels overnight, as to protect the well-being of our older Alaskans as the pandemic ran wild. Now that we look back in the rearview mirror, seniors are visiting the center again, gathering around the dining room table, waiting for lunch, high-stepping and staying active in independent classes, and moving at a snail's pace in the Tai Chi for Arthritis Falls Prevention program. Hanging out at the Senior Center is a regular daily occurrence for many older Alaskans here in Seward, because we teach and learn every day. We're just like high school, but with better food. Older Alaskans and senior centers are interdependent and relying on each other to create a healthy community that engages community citizens of all ages, taking into consideration quality, longevity, and inclusiveness. They are a valuable part of our economic engine and spend a majority of their income within their respective community here in Seward. For decades, seniors have turned to the Senior Center to meet their social, health, and wellness, mobility, and nutritional needs, as retirement checks leave less to live on at a time of rising costs in medical care, fuel, energy costs, and the normal outrageous food costs that we're all dealing with. They don't equal Social Security benefits. On any given day, Senior Center staff are advocates for seniors and play a part in public safety, as we request wellness checks from the city police and state troopers due to circumstances out of our control. We deliver Meals on Wheels every day. If somebody's not answering the door, we're calling their emergency contact. If their emergency contact doesn't answer the phone, we're calling state troopers or the police department for a wellness check. So it's great that you guys have our back. Really appreciate that. Staff are trained to respond and report risky conditions to Adult Protective Services and to file critical incident reports as they witness vulnerable adults that are in need of another level of support. The Senior Center is the cornerstone of senior services here in Seward, as we offer staff training that's necessary to support services. We have diversified financial partnerships that range from the Older Americans Act, Kenai Peninsula Borough, American Legion raffles, as well as Take a Veteran to Lunch program that's sponsored by the American Legion. On a weekly basis, we turn to Social Security office in Anchorage, the Medicare offices in Anchorage, AARP, Meals on Wheels of America, National Council on Aging, State of Alaska Aging and Disability Resource Centers, and Independent Living Centers here in the Kenai Peninsula. And of course, our amazing supportive staff of the Department of Senior and Disability Services. We couldn't do it without them. Home and community-based services are the most affordable direct services in our rural community, encouraging older Alaskans to age in place. Meals on Wheels, transportation, shopping assistance, evidence-based health promotion programs are all great opportunities to keep seniors flexible with better balance and the confidence to walk the extra mile. We provide information, referrals, personal advocacy, directing seniors to Alaska Legal Services, Aging and Disability Resource Centers, Independent Living Centers. Home repair and homemaker services provide safe access and support a senior activity at daily living. As you can hear, we partner with a lot of different services across the state. Our staff collaborate with many other senior providers, whether for financial assistance advice or insight into personal problems. We stand together stronger than ever before as we all face together the challenges of growing old. Another valuable partnership that creates a collective voice for all of our providers here in the state is AgeNet. We are a 22-year-old Alaska Geriatric Exchange Network, and we lobby at the state level to improve senior services for all seniors across the state. As you've heard this evening, the Senior Center is built on the foundation to support the independence, integrity, and dignity of our aging population. And we, as providers, are asked to work miracles on some days, embrace those that live on the fringe of society, and encourage those that live without family in their latter years. No one deserves to live and die alone. So we will continue to accept our responsibilities as senior providers and continue the fight to keep them out of harm's way and in the center of every conversation. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. We love the people that we serve. And that's why I come to you today. I'm encouraging the City of Seward and the City Council to take seriously our increase in our grant request for 2023. We're wanting to bring our employees into the fold of our mission and provide them adequate pay in personnel to be able to keep them in Seward and to keep them in senior services. And the city has been so instrumental in clogging up that sieve to keep employees in the building from not flowing through and moving out of Seward to better paying jobs outside of the community. So we really encourage you to approve our fiscal request. And so this opportunity for a higher level of financial stewardship is is just a great focus on one of the most vulnerable populations in Seward, and those are the people that we serve 60 and over. We have to keep our eyes on our grandparents, our parents, our mentors, and individuals that serve Seward as politicians, as fish processors, as department heads, as retail owners, hotel owners, restaurant owners. We are still here, and we continue to strive to make Seward a better place to live. And on another note, in response to the Recreation Center feasibility study, I was surprised to read the report and see the senior center in that big, beautiful building. But unfortunately, the square footage that they put in there is half the square footage that we occupy to support all of our programs that we support. It's a great concept. Our board of directors hasn't had the opportunity to look at it yet. We're interested in continuing the conversation, but we definitely don't want to squelch our services to get into a new building. So we're in a terrific location right now. We've got great partnership with the city. We have snow removal in the winter. Public Works, you know, they help us out when we need, you know, other major exterior repairs. The city is our partner in repairing and keeping our elevator running. And we just have such a great relationship and rapport with the city. We ran into problems this winter where we were paying the Boys and Girls Club heating since February, and I'm like, why is my heating bill so high? Well, we all say that, but it was really, really high. But I worked with the city and I worked with Shoreside, and we finally got to the bottom of it. So I was really, really grateful for the finance department of you know, taking my every call and my every email. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I got that $5,000 back. So I'm really grateful that they worked hard to help us with that. So very, very, very helpful. So as you can hear, that you guys are terrific partners in senior services here in Seward. So I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to share our successes and our challenges and the positive outcomes that arise from compassionate care. You're part of our rural senior center. I'll take any questions at this time.
Thank you, your timing was perfect. You worked well. Are there any questions for Dana? Okay, thank you very much. That was very thorough and appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next presentation is Recycling in Seward, and Lori Landstrom has that presentation, and I believe she has it looks like it.
Hi there, I'm just going to give George a minute to get my slides going.
Oh, I just turned it on.
Yeah, I was just going to pull it out a little bit.
And then make sure I know how to operate this
Yeah, that's fine.
fancy gizmo. For those of you that don't remember or don't know who I am, I'm Lori Landstrom, founding member of the grassroots organization Sustainable Seward. We were formed in 2018. Tonight I'm going to talk briefly about one of Sustainable Seward's areas of focus, recycling. There are many locations around Seward to recycle. We've listed them here by what recyclables are collected at each location. I'll go into more detail in the next few slides. These slides are also in your packet. This lists all the recyclables that anyone can recycle at the Seward Transfer Facility, aka the dump. This container is on the South Harbor uplands. The city pays for the emptying of this roll-off as a public service. And you can drop off 4 separate commodities there. The city also pays for the emptying of the brown roll-off on the right of this photo. It didn't always pay for it, however. This roll-off was given to Sustainable Seward. We paid to have it transported over to Seward from Soldotna. We also paid the cost of emptying it for several months before the city took over paying the bill, as urged by a former council member. It's quite popular with downtown businesses, especially for cardboard. The dumpster on the left was a gift to us from Park and Rec. We upscaled it and it now collects number 1, 2, 4, and 5 plastics only. Sustainable Seward put 3 of these upscale dumpsters out around town, and they are emptied by Alaska Plastics Recovery. Sustainable Seward and Seward Rotary have upscaled or purchased 19 sidewalk containers at a value well over $10,000. We currently have 15 of them on city sidewalks and boardwalks. Number 1, plastics and aluminum cans are collected in them. This is a list of all the current locations and proposed locations. Currently, local businesses sponsor these cans, which means that they empty, sort, and recycle the contents as needed as a community service. This is the journey of recyclables collected here in Seward. Some stay here, glass. Some stay here for reprocessing, plastics. And some leave the state for reprocessing. Currently, there are about 46,000 pounds of plastics stockpiled at SMIC that will be processed into lumber, but that's another talk. Here are some of the reasons recycling is valuable to a community and individuals. Cost savings to all of us as borough taxpayers. The line cells in Soldotna are very expensive to maintain and even more expensive to build. I believe recycling shows that Seward cares about our environment. Many local businesses rely on and proclaim our natural beauty. We should protect it. And many of the tourists that come to town expect recycling to be available, as it is in their towns. You may ask, does Seward recycle? And I say yes. This is the fiscal year tally of the weight of the recyclables collected at the Seward transfer facility. While the amounts dropped during COVID, we are trending up again. A few takeaway points from a recent survey that Resurrection Recycling conducted earlier this fall. People want to and do recycle in Seward. The majority of the survey respondents said they would pay for pickup at their homes or businesses. So here's the ask. What can the City Council do to help? First of all, continue recycling in the 5 city buildings. Continue using the refillable, reusable water bottles that I see on your desk tonight. Thank you for that switch. What we're asking for is that you expand the current contract for recycling pickup to include the 19 sidewalk containers Sustainable Seward and Rotary are currently providing. The current contract pricing is shown on the bottom line, with $2,375 being the additional cost per month for all 19 containers. We urge you to include this in the upcoming budget discussions. Thank you for your time and your service to the City Council and to the city, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Lori? Yes, Councilmember Casagrande.
Thank you. What do the sidewalk containers hold? Sorry, I missed that part.
Number 1, plastic bottles and aluminum cans. That's what we're asking to be put in them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. Okay, that ends the presentations, and if you're looking at the agenda, we've gone through the consent agenda. We have no public hearings. We have no unfinished business. We already dealt with the new business that's on the consent agenda. But relative to that, I have a motion that I would like to make at this time, and this comes from the clerk. So correct me if I'm stating it incorrectly. And this, well, I'll explain it after I give it, I guess. I move to extend the time for the seating of the newly elected officials to up to 20 days following the certification of the election. And I'd ask for a second for this.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay. And perhaps maybe, Madam Clerk, could you just explain why we're doing this? I could, but...
Yes, happy to. So just in the city attorney, the other city attorney, pointed out that in the charter, it specifies that the organization of council will take place within 10 days of certification of the election, which is tonight. And historically, we've always done the 1st and 2nd October meetings. And he pointed out that it requires a motion of council to extend up to 20 days from certification, which then allows us to have the organization on October 24th.
Right, which is when, for the public, that would, if we approve this, that will be when the newly elected members are seated and then we reorganize in the traditional way. Okay, so are there any, yes, Councilmember Casagrande.
So does that mean that I will still be a council member and I need to attend the work sessions that are next week?
That's a very good question.
So
Do we have an answer, Madam Clerk?
Traditionally, we do not expect your service to continue after tonight's meeting. You are welcome to if you wish, but you are not obligated to.
So you'll call me if you need a quorum?
For next week, we should be okay.
Okay.
Thank you, though. Thanks for the offer.
And Councilmember Wells and I, who have been elected, will maintain what we are currently. I'm vice mayor, and you've got your current seat until we take the oath on the 24th, okay?
Okay.
So we've got it all worked out now, if this passes, so. Any other questions, discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, we're ready for a vote on this amendment.
Thank you. Okay,
Or motion,
I'm voting
I mean.
on the motion to extend the organization of council. Casagrande?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
Calhoun?
Yes.
DeMoss?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor McClure?
Yes.
That motion is approved, and thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you for doing the work to figure out how to do this right, and we may do it better next time, but this is how it is. With that ends everything that we had on the list. We have some informational items and reports. You can find on page 99 the City Clerk Travel Report from the Oregon Association of Municipal Recorders Conference, and it's good reading. Also, there is on page 100 the Hyper Financials report that we've been asking them to submit. So if the citizens or the rest of the council wants to see that. And now we're down to citizens' comments, and at this point, there's no sign-in for this comment period. Time is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. And I'm looking out there to see if there are any citizens who would like to speak. And it must be the beautiful weather and everyone's out just romping in the beautiful weather because we don't have a lot of citizens here tonight. Okay, seeing none. Moving on to council and administration comments and responses to citizens' comments. And I'll start with the city manager and assistant city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the one item that, speaking of the beautiful weather, that I just wanted to comment on, and a shout out to the Public Works Department and Electric Department. The Public Works Department did a really good job of keeping the drainage ditches clear of all of the leaves that were coming down, because that causes the water to back up. And then also the falls were raging, and Public Works worked all night long Saturday night, and then had some assistance from Metco early Sunday morning. The water was so high that it, causing issues with the bridge and so on and so forth. So, and in the midst of all of that, there was a small power outage with a report of electric line in the water. It ended up being a communications line, which is safer than electric in water, but they were able to get the electric back on. So shout out to them for those conditions and all the work they completed.
Okay. And Do you have anything, Mr. Sewell?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, then it's council comments, and I'll start with Mr. Wells, Councilmember Wells.
Thank you. Main thing I'd like to say thank you to everybody who came out and voted. You know, it's our civic duty to do so, and those that came out, thank you very much. And I hope everybody has a great week and enjoy what little bit of sunshine we will have.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Calhoun.
Yeah, I want to thank the folks for the presentations tonight. Very good information for everybody because we don't always know those things. I want to thank Dana for the great job she's done with the senior center over the years. Seen a lot of improvements over the years there and the partnerships that have been developed, so good job. And just one comment on the motion that we just voted on. Maybe in the future, if we're going to have something like that, we could do it a little sooner, because even if we didn't want to do it tonight and wanted to postpone it, it would have really not made a difference, because we postpone it to the next meeting, we're there anyway. So maybe just something to think about if something like that comes up in the future. And other than that, everybody be safe as winter approaches.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Casagrande.
I wish Dana was still here because I'd like to echo what Councilmember Calhoun said of the amazing job she's been doing all these years. And I've really watched the senior center transform and a real sense of family and community that has developed there over the years. And if anyone gets a chance, this book is so cool. I've just been flipping through and it's like, there's a lot of favorite people in Seward, but a handful of them in here. And open up to the first one to see Christy Larson. The first word says, I came here to work for a summer and never left. And it's just a story that you hear so much about this community. It's it would be a good read. So the senior center has them.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Demas.
I want to congratulate our new mayor, McClure, almost, and Councilmember Wells, and just thank them for running again, stepping up, and putting yourself out there. And that's all I have.
Okay. And so, yeah, I wanted to thank everyone who came out and voted, and also especially the election workers, because that's a fairly thankless task. My mom did that for years, back when they hand counted all the ballots, and she just loved it, you know. So the people that do it, it's social. It's, you know, I can't imagine doing that. But anyway, I want to thank them for that. Also, I think we got through that storm. That was a typical October storm. I remember driving back from assembly meetings in storms like that, and it's always October. And thanks to the Public Works and Electric and everybody that made it work, I was out there looking at what was going on in Stony Creek area on Bruno. So there's been a lot all over the place. And the senior center is amazing. You know, I've taken my mom there for years and played music there and done a lot of things there. And one of the neat things they have right now, if you didn't see it in the paper, they've got one of those little lending library things out front. And it's secure in the weather, but people are putting some really quality Alaska books in there, and you can take a book, leave a book, and I'm hearing from people that they're finding some real gems in there, and then they share them around. So they also have books up there you can just borrow, and you know. But the senior center does a wonderful thing for Seward. And I guess that's all. I could talk all night, but I'm not going to because we're getting out early. Except now. I'm going to make a motion that we go into executive session by City Code 2.10.033E2. This is an executive session involving subjects that tend to prejudice the reputation and character of any person, provided the person may request a public discussion. In this case, it has to do with the city manager contract, and I'm moving to go into that, and I need a second, please.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, we need to vote on that.
Voting on the motion to move into executive session, Demas?
Yes.
Calhoun?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
Casagrande?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor McClure?
Yes.
That motion is approved. You are moving into executive session at 7:44.
Okay, and in this